Hey, Blue Rockers, welcome to Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis. Crypto Connie here tonight. It's Crypto Connie Tuesday, and boy, have a ton of things been happening. Oh my gosh. Well, let's see. Before I recollect all these wonderful things, let me just remind you, this is Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis, Earth's most interesting conversations. That includes people, places, and things, also crypto. That's right, Crypto Connie Tuesday, Far Out Thursday, but before that, Wasted Wednesday's coming up. Bigfoot Friday, Stan's Bible lecture on Sunday, and all sorts of goodies in between. Now, we got a lot of catching up to do in the crypto world. Those of you that have been following us, thank you very much. And thank you for donating in crypto. I love it. What a treat to go in there in my BitShares wallet and see a little gift from you. Thank you. And those of you know who you are. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And because everything's so low right now, what a great time to donate. Anyway, you guys, we've been having a good time. As you guys know, I have talked about meeting in person the godfather of BitShares, Stan Larimer, as well as Michael X, both of them of Cryptonomics and QUINT, and of course the BitShares dynasty. We had a great time, and we videotaped quite a bit, so look forward to some really fun videos, informative, letting you know what's going on, but as well some fun video too. One of the reasons why I enjoy being around these people. They're intelligent, they know what they're doing, they are way ahead of the game, they're on the right track, but also they're fun, down to earth, real people. They can aggravate you once in a while, but that's just part of it. Oh, speaking of that, no, let's bring on, you guys know I'm kidding, let's bring on Stan Larimer, the godfather of BitShares.
Yay!
Yay! Hey, Stan, what's going on?
Hey there, Crypto Connie. Well, I'm coming to you tonight live to tape from the lounge at the United Club here at Dulles Airport in just outside D.C.
Ooh.
If you could see through the windows behind me, you'd see some airplanes parked out there ready to board some people.
Well, where are you
I don't
going
take
now?
off. I'm heading off for Ireland for a week.
Gosh, you're going everywhere. You are everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's been something. Basically, in the past 10 days, we're talking, I've got 4 ocean crossings under my belt and 2 more coming up in the next 10 days or next week or so. So,
Wow.
Yeah, going over to Ireland, we're going to open a new depository over there for QUINT.
Yay!
And that will give us double depositories. And of course, the interesting thing about Ireland is the Middle Kingdom of Graphene, which is some special legal status over there that allows it to basically issue its own currency and therefore issue QUINT products and coins that become legal tender, even if they're custom minted coins. So
nice.
We're going to be over there shooting a documentary. We're going to have a lot of guys there, the whole QUINT team. Michael Taggart will be there. Once upon a time, Paul will be there.
Oh, tell them all I said hello.
People will be flying in to meet with us. We tell everybody, hey, we're going to be there a whole week shooting a documentary. If you're in Europe or Dubai or wherever, or Switzerland, whatever, you can buy. And, we'll have a little chat. So we'll do a little business on the side and shoot a documentary, and who knows what else we might do from over there. But probably drink a little Guinness before we're done.
Well, I hope that you do a couple things like play golf, because that's the place to play golf.
Well, that is a good place to play golf.
Yes,
no doubt about it.
Great place to play golf. And also, I hope you throw in a little cameo here with Crypto Connie and Blue Rock Talk.
Oh, yeah, we plan on it. I don't know, what the whole agenda is going to be, but if I could pull off a Bible study from Ireland, that'd be great, with some Irish castle in the background. Who knows what I'll find over there, but that would be certainly an objective.
Okay.
And we'll see what we can do next Tuesday night. Once again, I don't control the agenda, so we'll see what all happens. Just had a phone call come in.
Yeah, geez, always freaks me out. Well, yeah, we'll definitely have to do your shows from here. But don't forget cameo with Crypto Connie in that documentary. Blue Rockers, we are in the know, and especially about crypto. I love that. That just came out of me. That was good. That was a
Oh,
really
not
good.
bad.
That
Not
was
bad at
not
all.
bad at all. So you've crossed how many continents? How many to go? How many have you been at? What now?
Well, first off, I live 4 hours away from Dulles, so every time I come to Dulles, it's a 4-hour drive. Got up here and flew over to Amsterdam, did BitFest over there, and had a little 15-minute presentation to the crowd. And that crowd is, basically the core people that have been with BitShares the longest. While it may have been in Europe, we had a very strong contingent from other parts of the world, including China. So that was a briefing to people who were intimately detailed, in the know about BitShares. It was the BitShares, well, it was a BitShares event. And so then, as soon as I finished up there, I hopped on a plane back to Dulles, right here, turned around, had to spend in this very lounge 8 hours, killing time waiting for the next flight out to Sao Paulo, Brazil, where we went. That was a Bitcoin conference, so everything there was done in Portuguese except for the presentations that Michael and I did. Each of us got a half hour to do a keynote address to the crowd, and we got that recorded and handed off to you to play at your leisure. And once we finished up that, we also spent an hour where Michael was leading a panel, and I was on the panel. And so for an hour, we were up there, really the kickoff for the event. And so we got a lot of face time down there in Argentina or in Brazil. And, you may not have realized this, Connie, but Sao Paulo is right on the Tropic of Capricorn. I mean, the Tropic of Capricorn slices right through it. So we were half in the tropics and half in the temperate zone where we were hanging out down there.
Wow.
And it's right next door to Rio de Janeiro. And I learned how to use Uber for the first time, teaching old dogs new tricks. I was getting around town really like a champion there. I didn't know how I was going to get around a big city like Sao Paulo. But with the Uber, it was a piece of cake.
Did Michael X help you with that?
Well, he was the one that recommended it.
Right.
But when I got to the airport, I just walked to the taxi stand, and down the way from the taxis was a guy with an Uber shirt. And I just walked up to him and said, "Hey, I don't know how to use Uber, but they tell me I should use Uber." He says, "Okay, help me download the app," and set it up and got me my first ride. So now I'm an Uber pro.
You'll love it. You'll love it. You'll love it. And boy, does it add up quickly too, because it's so easy.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I know that there's a couple things I want to bring up before we Blue Rockers, we are going to show his video, his speaking in Amsterdam. So we're going to be doing that here in just a few minutes. Beforehand, without ruining what we're going to hear and see here in a minute, I know you have two versions of a story. You have a real one and you have a fictitious one. And what is that about? Because I know we're going to hear that. Just brief introduction.
That's true. Well, we've covered here on your show for many, many months the problems with bad behavior on the part of government agents who play a game of gotcha, where they look for anything that they can interpret as a false statement. And they've got a nice, convenient law that says if you make a false statement, especially when you're involved in any kind of fundraising, then that's enough for them to claim it's fraud, and then they can just start compounding multiple counts of everything. And next thing you know, they can put you away for 100 years because you said the sky was blue when it was nighttime out. Really, really bad behavior on part of our government agencies. We're going to have to work on that. That's going to require going to the Supreme Court and Congress and getting them stripped of these powers if they're going to abuse them like that. But what do we do in the meantime? Well, I've just resolved that I'm only going to talk in terms of science fiction that I'm writing. I've got a new science fiction series called Sovereign Sky. It appears on Whale Shares and Steemit. And in there, I talk about all kinds of things I'm thinking about, but always in the context of a fictional character doing fictional things that may or may not correspond to this world or some other parallel universe. And I'm hoping that provides me with a layer of isolation from the dirty tricks that people are playing in the government who think that they can target individuals and go find some outrageous thing. They just did it to Elon Musk, too. Elon Musk made a statement that they were able to convince themselves that that was a market manipulating statement or something. You know, Elon interacts with people. He wants to talk about all the cool things he's doing. And so they played gotcha, fined him something like $40 million, made him step down from his 2 companies for 3 years. Think of the damage that does to those companies over a trivial little issue that could have been settled with Elon, don't phrase it that way, please. But no, they got to go get him and damage things. So when people say that those agencies are there to protect the consumer, that's not true. They did $1 billion worth of damage to Tesla and SpaceX, at least $1 billion, probably more than that. They're absolutely criminal people doing that sort of thing. So I'm retreating into the world of science fiction and all my concepts, including this. I'm talking about the fictional universe in which Elon Musk had that happen to him. If it happened in your universe, that's just a coincidence.
Yeah, it's amazing that you have to put it in the sci-fi world when actually the sci-fi world is now real.
Well, that's a neat thing about it is we got lots of good examples where sci-fi becomes real, right?
Yeah.
Just look at the Star Trek communicator. We used to look at that and say, whoa, isn't that cool? People can talk to people anywhere, and now you got a communicator. I actually had a flip phone once that made a Star Trek communicator noise when I opened it. Yeah, so we see that happening, and sure,
love it.
The little thing Dr. McCoy used to slide into the medical computer sure looked like a floppy disk. So, all of those things are true, and so I'm just going to talk about my vision in a world of science fiction and stay out of the real world. But it's a shame that innovators have got to take those kind of precautions because government is using any excuse they can to interfere with free commerce and entrepreneurship by using picayune little laws that were never intended to be abused like that.
You are watching Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis. This is Crypto Connie right here, and you are seeing us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, BitTube, DLive. Is that all of them, you think? Did I get them all?
That's pretty close.
Am I close? And you will then see it again on Steemit and Whale Shares. And DLive's done a little changing. I don't know if I'm learning it still. I'm still learning BitTube, but I'm glad that these are out there to where you can do video and get crypto. So I like all that. Now, before we bring on the video of you speaking in Amsterdam, and I'm just going to ask you this, and I think it's already in the video, so you can either choose to say something or not. I don't want to be a spoiler or anything like that. So so I know you talk about airdrops and raindrops and neat things like that, and things that are launching November.
Yeah, raindrops on roses and tokens on kittens.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And if that's all you want to give, that's fine. People can watch it.
No. We do talk about it, but once again, whatever actually happens, all I can talk about is the fictional version of that, which is an approximation of what could happen in the real world. I really don't want to engage people in the real world because of the gotcha mentality of the 3-letter agencies that we have to deal with. So, people can read my fiction and then they can go look at the actual code that is being produced different places, and it's open source. So, they can read it and figure out what's going on and tell each other about it, and that can take place in freedom, while I sit confined to this fictitious universe where I don't have the risk of making an accidental misstatement that can be turned into a life sentence.
All right. Okay. Well, on that note, let's. Can you tell us what the Amsterdam conference was all about before we bring it on?
Yeah, the conference was a collection of all the movers and shakers. It really wasn't for newbies, although there were some newbies there. It was really for the people who are building on that ecosystem. And so we had some really famous names that were present there. Somebody named BitCrab from China and some of his friends, Jade Mont in particular, the guy that invited me to China to speak at Guiyang last spring, were there representing the Chinese contingent. We had Anamika, who was the elected representative of BitShares. She's the person that does all the legal representation for the platform, since there is nobody in charge of it. The title of GodFather of BitShares just means somebody who's influential in that community and pioneering, but it doesn't mean I have any say over how it works. Anamika is elected to do that job. And then we had Fabian, also known as Xerox there, who is a PhD and just one of the brilliant people. And if I try to name everybody, I will leave somebody out. But those are examples of the type of people who were present. And so it's a chance, to get together with people that we maybe only see once a year, but each one of them is building something on the BitShares network, or more than one thing on the network. And so it was a chance, almost like a summit meeting is the way I describe it.
Okay. All right. Well, we are looking forward to watching this video now. Blue Rockers, let's do that. This is Stan the Man out in Amsterdam. That was pretty good, too. I'm doing okay on these little bitty little riddles, man.
Honey, you scare me.
I'm loving it. I gotta go write all this stuff down. I gotta go record this somewhere else. So, Stan, you be safe out there in Ireland or in your trip out there. And keep in touch with us. Let us know what's going on. Of course, your Bible lecture with a beautiful background. Make sure you go golfing, at least for me. If you don't do it at all, at least get a picture. Go see a course or something, And tell everybody we said hello to, because you're with a whole lot of people that we know here as Blue Rockers. That is Quintric, of course, Michael X, and then Once Upon a Time, all that. Tell them hello from Crypto Connie and the other Blue Rockers.
Okay, I will say hi to everybody for you, and we'll probably do a couple Instacasts.
Easy for you to say.
Whenever we find out what the lay of the land is, but we'll show you a few things from over there in Ireland when we get the chance.
Excellent. Yo you, Stan the Man. All right, more to come here. Everybody watch. Here it is. Stan the Man in Amsterdam.
Remember the 5th of November. 5 summers ago, that's what Charles Hoskinson said when he walked into my office and announced the date in which we were going to release our very first blockchain, ProtoShares, or BitShares BTS, as it became known. We're now coming up on the 5th anniversary of that, just 6 weeks away from today. And some of us old-timers who remember the 5th of November, that very first time, got together and said, what are we going to do to celebrate the 5th anniversary of the very first block ever laid down in this ecosystem? Paul Martello here, you know him as Once Upon a Time, and Michael Taggart, who you probably know as From Zero to Hero, and Dan Notstein, who you probably know as blocktrades.us. and me got to talking about it. And the big elephant in the room was, what are we going to do about EOS? Because I go around talking to a lot of people in boardrooms and trying to talk people into using BitShares, and most of the time they're not smart enough to even know about EOS. But when they are, they do ask this question. Well, I understand that BitShares would meet my needs, but what about EOS? I mean, isn't that going to kind of take over for BitShares? And I say, no, you don't need that. You don't have that as a problem. If you're going to do smart contracts, if you're going to do a lot of other things, but BitShares is highly optimized. It's got all the capability that you could ever possibly want. And they still say, I don't know, you know, they get this little fear of missing out that maybe they're making the wrong type of decision. And so the gang of old timers sat around and said, we got to do something about this perception. What are we going to do? We're going to maybe get behind an idea of putting a version of BitShares onto EOS. Are we going to do something where maybe we upgrade BitShares to EOS technology? What are we going to do? And we decided, well, it already runs pretty nice and pretty good consensus within the group that we don't need to cobble BitShares up by sticking it up on top of something more general. It's already highly optimized for what it does. And I'm not sure we could get this community to agree on any kind of a major surgery. Look at all the things that are being done right now with the BitShares platform. One of the lessons we certainly learned from going from BitShares 1 to BitShares 2 is you don't pull a rug out from under a lot of other people who are building on it. So it's almost a given you should leave the BitShares blockchain alone. So where does that put us? Well, we came up with the idea of a middle chain. It's been talked about. We decided we would actually invest and go build one. The purpose of this middle chain is 3 different reasons. One of them is we would like to be able to interface to the EOS world, be able to export our products and services out across that vast new continent of opportunity. And we'd like to be able to import cool things that are happening there into trade on our decks very naturally. We'd also like to import technology. Whenever Dan Larimer stands up and says, ha, I've got this new idea, and everybody says, oh, gee, I wish we had that. Well, we're going to have that, all right, because we're going to create a middle chain interfaced to the current system that will allow us to automatically import anything that they do over there at Block 1 with their multi-billion-dollar R&D budget. And in fact, I like to kid Dan a little bit and say, we realize, guys, that Block 1 is just the BitShares laboratories. And that's the way I tend to look at it. Whatever they do, of course, Dan passionately believes should be shared, open source, out across the community, and what better place to share it than with his first baby. So that's what we've set out to do, and we've picked the 5th of November as the date that we are going to launch the very first block of this middle chain that will provide, in addition to the functions I just described, one more thing, which is a whole new value added that I call jurisdictional agility. What jurisdictional agility is, right now most blockchains are designed to be spread out over the whole world. They sit in every jurisdiction, That's kind of a strength because if some particular government wants to make trouble, you just heal around it and the rest of the system goes on. Everybody does it that way. But have you ever thought about the idea of being able to guarantee that a transaction that you want to have in a smart contract or whatever will execute in a specific jurisdiction that you can be confident of? So you, as a business wanting to ride on this, can be able to say, I'm not worried about 250 different jurisdictions out there being compliant with them all. I'm going to pick one and be totally compliant there, and I'm going to ensure that every single thing I do is going to execute inside that jurisdiction. And one little simple example of that is what we've done with QUINT. That's our gold-backed legal tender that is located in a depository in Salt Lake City, Utah. where Utah has very excellent laws that allow you to do things with gold and silver being legal tender. And if you do it that way, compliant with US law, and if every transaction occurs inside Utah, guess what? What happens in Utah stays in Utah, legally. What if we could do that for everybody on a new blockchain that has smart contracts, where we could guarantee those smart contracts happen in Malta, or Utah, Wyoming, Ireland, where we have a new depository we'll be opening up. You pick your favorite jurisdiction where you would like it to execute, and that may slow it down a little bit. If there's only one node running in that jurisdiction, it may have to hop around through 21 nodes before it comes up with something that matches the jurisdiction you specified in your smart contract, but it'll execute then reliably in that location. And then in the ultimate vision, we can start thinking about providing jurisdictions like in international waters, putting a node on a cruise ship that, every time it goes out into international waters and the casinos open up, hey, so does the node that's able to execute those things. And ultimately, putting it on a satellite in space where it's an international jurisdiction there. I looked into the laws of international space. It's mostly you shouldn't put nukes in space, things like that. They don't really talk too much about other things, so what a wonderful place to go ahead and put this type of blockchain. So that is what we are envisioning to address what to do about EOS. Let's use its strength to do something that hasn't been done before, that EOS itself isn't trying to do. It's trying to be very general. Why not pick out a big, new, wonderful, brave new world of possibilities and see what we can do about that? So we're going to launch this blockchain and going to do it on the 5th of November. And here's the other thing. It's going to be an airdrop on you guys. Okay? I'm sick and tired. Remember who it was that first invented the concept of a social contract where you would airdrop on a coin? It was BitShares, right? So why are we dropping all of our coins on EOS? Okay? Well, there's been enough of that going on, and I think Dan would agree that since if you go look at the EOS library, there's an awful lot of BitShares code in EOS. Therefore, why can't we take some of that new innovation from EOS, bring it back to BitShares, and keep the ownership here in the community? So that's what we're out to do. And the way we're going to do it is to basically, remember what I said about the idea of making coins portable from BitShares projected out into the EOS universe, making it so that coins are platform independent. Any token on the BitShares network can move across onto EOS and then out into the rest of the world at the time. So we're going to make it entirely voluntary for people participating during the period of time that this will take place, from ideally November 5th, if we can pull it off, until a period of time that we want to be an extended period of time, at least 3 months, maybe more. And during that time, we're going to do something called a raindrop. Now, airdrop happens all on one block, right? This idea is anybody that wants to collect some of this rainfall of free tokens. 100% of tokens are given out this way. Anyone who wants to collect it, all they have to do is move their BitShares onto the BitShares EOS platform. Don't have to give them up. You can take them back anytime you want. But as long as you're there supporting this new blockchain, you're receiving rainfall day in and day out of the new tokens. And so in theory, this can't happen because a lot of people are doing other things with their BitShares, like backing bit assets or whatever. But if everybody moved everything over to the new chain, and did it on day one and allowed it to rain, everybody would get one of the new BEOS tokens, BEOS, for every BitShare that they have. Now, say half of you decide to do it and half of you decide that you don't. Well, then the half that moved over there to collect are the ones that are going to get 2 tokens. If only 10% of you move over, you'll get 10 tokens. So I'll let you decide whether you want to participate or not. But those tokens will be distributed on a day-to-day, hour-to-hour basis to whoever's got something, a catcher's mitt over there, to get them. So that, my friends, is what we're up to right now. The last thing I wanted to talk about is the fact that there's actually 2 versions of this chain. Okay, one is the real one that I've been talking about, and the other one is a fictitious one. I'm not going to talk anymore about the real one, because it's not safe to do so in my country anymore. In my country, the authorities are playing games of gotcha, where if somebody says something that can be interpreted as a false statement, they can amplify the charges on that up to the point where you can go to prison for 20 years for making a false statement, even if you immediately corrected it and said, oops, I misspoke. The attitude is, if you're a targeted individual, which is usually somebody that's doing good for the community and trying to innovate, then you're going to be singled out to have everybody watch every word you say in order to find something that they can say is a false statement. How do I protect myself from that? I talk about it, right? I like to talk informally. Sooner or later, I'm going to say something that somebody's going to say is false, and then I'm in jeopardy. So my strategy for solving that problem is to create a fictitious version of this. I'm going to actually write a science fiction miniseries. This chart is science fiction. Everything I just told you today is fictional, and I'm going to be able to share with you all my hopes and dreams, things that I hope I can do, and things we might not be able to do, and things we might change our mind about, and times when I blow it and say the wrong thing on the record in an interview somewhere. You folks are going to have to take my science fiction ramblings and figure out what that means in terms of what happens in the real world, because I ain't going to talk about that with a 10-foot pole. Okay? So, it's a shame that it has to work that way, but unfortunately, as long as we live in the world we do, we've got to take those kind of things. One final point to make is that what to do about the reserve fund. Okay? I've already said that every BitShare that shows up over on the new network during the rainfall period is going to get some tokens. What do we do about the rainfall on the, what would it be, the reserve fund in BitShares? Well, we decided to do something that's kind of been hinted at today. I think Fabian was sort of pointing it out a little bit, is let's manage that differently. Instead of managing like we do on BitShares, pure democracy, a lot of voting. You know, the drawback of that is it's hard to make decisions quickly. So how do we go about doing that? Why don't we have those tokens given to a board of trustees that's elected in a much longer cycle? Something like the SEC has a new member come on the board every year, and they rotate out in a 5-year term. So you have some stability and long-term roadmap planning and the ability to sign contracts and so on. So that's what we're going to do, and that particular thing will focus most importantly on defending the community. We want to be able to, in the instance anybody gets in trouble legally for not doing anything wrong other than being picked on, we want to get them a lawyer. And we want the trustees to have as their primary mission the ability to use those funds that are set aside there for doing that. Okay, everybody, you can see it, steemit/@Stan, and over on the new BitShares thing. I'll be talking about this for the next 6 weeks, and hopefully you can all learn everything about what's going on in my fictitious articles and read between the lines. Thanks.